Let's take it organically. We'll see where a good starting point is. I can hear you breathe there.
I'm trying to do like a breathing technique here. Calm my nerves. I was on edge last time.
Really?
Yeah, I could like feel my body kind of start shaking a bit whenever I was talking. I don't know if it was because I was straight up nervous about it, or if I was just like too excited.
I imagine a lot of it was probably because we were caught off guard since our producer didn't show up. We had to DIY it.
Oh well, that's just the nature. I'm fine with that kind of struggle. But I swear on my life that if you sneeze right now, I will chug your Topo Chico.
Tell you what, Bo.
In front of you.
If I sneeze during this podcast, I will pay for your movie ticket tonight. I am so confident I will not sneeze.
Get something musty in here and just wipe it right above his nose and just...
I feel like that's not playing by the rules, though.
That was not part of the deal. You just said, if you sneeze. It didn't have to be a naturally occurring sneeze. It could be forced.
I didn't realize I had to give all the specifics. There's a contract or...
I don't know. How do you tell somebody to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
There's various ways.
Exactly my point. You have to be specific.
You ever had a grilled PB&J? Have I told you about the greatness of a grilled PB&J?
Oh yeah, I've had a grilled PB&J. Let me tell you a story. In film school, right, we had a joint major with theater, and we had an entire lesson in stagecraft in this scene shop, right? My mentor, named Jeff Stover, got me into... We both liked punk music. So he really got me into Henry Rollins and Black Flag and stuff like that. Anyway, besides the point. He has bags of bread, 3 jars of peanut butter, 3 jars of jelly. And he's like, all right, I'm going to blindfold one of you kids and then you're going to tell me how to make a PBJ. It's like, okay. So he does it. This kid comes up and he's like, put the jelly on the bread, and he just throws the jelly jar on the bread, the bag of bread, and just ruins it. And the kid just wants to stop. He goes, oh no, you're going to keep going. So the kid's like, open the jar of peanut butter. He's like, how do you want me to open it? Twist the lid. So he twists it, stabs it with a knife, that little plastic sheet, and then gets peanut butter and slams it on the broken jelly jar and slices of bread. That was a college course.
Wow.
Right? A lot of say what you want about higher education, but I learned something that day.
You know what the lesson from that is? Got to be specific.
Got to be specific, so.
That's what my dad always says.
Dad says a lot of things.
Be specific, yeah. He does say a lot of things.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. Have you ever met my dad?
No, I mean on FaceTime when we were in...
Oh, yeah.
Were you in New Orleans?
Where did he FaceTime?
Yes, it was, because I was listening to Dr. John. We were driving around, and then we were... You made fun of my cigars.
Oh, yeah, your little wimpy ones? Because he FaceTimed us when
my little Frenchies.
I guess you kind of had to for New Orleans, being French and all. But no, he FaceTimed us while we were sitting watching the lake at night.
Oh yeah, and there are people on the lighted swans and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was a good night.
I'm really still curious what that was. Being a wedding or something?
No, that was just a tourist thing.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to Once Upon a Tome, episode 3.
I'm Brett Hendricks.
Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
I jumped the gun there.
That's fine.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that, but...
I don't know where I'm going with most things.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Bo.
I'm Brett.
And we are in a new dig. New digs.
New studio.
You want to tell them where we're at?
So
undisclosed location.
We are in an undisclosed location.
In the heart of a city.
In the heart of a state.
That is in the heart of the USA.
Which is in the heart of North America.
North America, which is in the heart of...
the world. And if you guys are curious, our new producer is a friend of ours.
Good friend.
Good friend. We will not reveal his name.
Humbly letting us use his place in the sick studio that he has made. And I'm more comfortable than I've ever been. Yeah. I got my shoes off. I got my milk and cookie socks.
Ooh, you do. And what do you have between your legs there, Bo?
The unofficial sponsor, Topo Chico. You hear that?
The greatest water ever.
Anticipation. The greatest water of all time. We got 3. One for me, Brett, and our pal.
And guess what? The bottle opener we have right now.
Oh, you're really...
It is... I don't even know if I want to use it, to be honest with you.
You're going to use it because we have to drink it. I'm thirsty, so you better start popping.
It is an old railroad spike that was reformed into a bottle opener.
Everything.
So this thing...
Oh!
is never going to fail.
Did you hear that? That was amazing. How'd you do it this way?
You think you're doing it upside down there, Bo? Have you never used it? Well, it makes sense.
No,
if you don't have a bottle opener, you're not going to know how to use one.
I did it the right way.
No, you got to get on the other side. Oh, there we go. Oh, you spilled it. Oh my gosh. What a noob.
I can't control the pressure of the water. This thing was in my bag.
Did mine spill?
No.
You think it was sitting in your freaking lap for like 2 minutes?
We drove all the way down. God dang it. Don't do this to me.
Let's see. How
all of my pants that... Oh, yeah. I had an eventful Friday.
Yeah, well, I think we both had an eventful Friday, considering we work at the same location.
I forgot pants today. So my attire is an old flannel, a Bon Iver t-shirt with a cat on it, and sweatpants.
Hey.
It's casual Friday.
Casual Friday.
Another day. Teaching the Utes.
Teaching them Utes.
Yeah.
Trying to teach them.
So, what do we have in store for today?
Yeah, so, first thing on the docket, for all of our, I'll say 6 listeners right now. You know, got to increase it every time.
Well,
I owe you guys a deep apology.
Yeah.
Because
holy smokes,
let's go ahead, Bo.
No, I was upset.
Yeah.
I was, on one. Had a nice little thing that I would return back to. Email us at Once Upon a Tome, and this dude has said the wrong email the entire time.
And I'm the one who set it up, so I take full responsibility for this. So it is not actually onceuponatome@gmail. So if you've emailed us, sorry, have not gotten it. Probably will never get it. But the official email is onceuponatome22@gmail.com. I originally tried to set it up as Once Upon a Tome, but it was taken. So I decided to use 22 because we're in 2022. But last time I forgot about that. So I misinformed Bo, and Bo, for that I am deeply sorry.
I really wanted to connect with all our fans in Colorado, and I was really excited about it because I wanted to learn all about our listeners' top 10s and favorite Bob Dylan songs and what they had for breakfast. And
can you imagine if some of the people in Austria who listen to this wrote in?
Yeah, that's a new thing.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, we have listeners in Germany and Austria now.
That's wonderful. Can't believe it. So, what do we have in store today?
So we got the email correction done. I thought we'd give you guys an update where we're at in Gaddis, and then we're going to jump into what's really going to cover this episode and the next 2 episodes, which is our top 10 list of novels of all time that we've read.
So, we have to start with the Gaddis update. We'll preface this with, we are 20% done, right?
Probably over 20%.
According to Goodreads, we are 20% done as of like last week. Brett decided to up and leave for a few days.
Yeah, I was in California for 5 days. And I tried to read some more beyond where we're at, but each time I found myself too tired. So I read about 2 lines and decided this is a no-go.
You definitely have to
Because I mean, with Gaddis,
he's fully aware.
Yeah, with Gaddis, he is so dense that you really have to be of a sound state of mind and clear thinking, have a lot of energy to read it. And I was on a plane both times, and so it just wasn't happening.
That's fine, and it's so good. Today, I called Brett in the middle of his class period just to tell him that I will never look at a horsefly the same way. It was truly like an astounding piece. The opening of chapter 4 or something. Holy smokes. I had to stop.
Yeah.
Because then I realized I was having kids in my classroom. I was like, okay, I got to concentrate on something.
Okay, got to teach.
But yeah, I called Brett and just totally disrupted his classroom. And I don't regret that one bit.
No.
Anyway, it's wonderful. The last big section we had, it was this whole art gallery party scene. And we're meeting all these new characters, not really knowing, exactly who's talking. But it is incredible.
Yeah, the dialogue is ridiculous.
Like, I'm just sitting there reading, like, I've never known anyone to write this beautiful a dialogue. And ever since that lecture, we were teaching, like, how to teach kids how to write dialogue. You start out with 1, 2, and you'll be surprised at how many people can't write a third character.
Yeah,
and he's just got a whole party's worth of people. And it is the zaniest of crap. The boy Otto, in my opinion, is completely faking this injury because he thinks he's so cool coming back from the revolution. And there's like subtle people who are like kind of dissing him, like, yeah, okay. And no one's giving him the attention that he so craves. What a wonderful. Anyway, that's the update on Gaddis. It's not. Is it good? Oh yeah.
Yeah, our producer very much enjoys Topo Chico. Bo, would you say that by his expression, it's changed his life?
He's a new man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a man change that much since Burning Man 2013. I've never been to Burning Man. What else we got?
Well, that was really all I had on the agenda. Cause I think we're going to spend a lot of time doing our top 10. So
heck yeah, this was my idea.
Yeah, all credit to Bo on this one.
Yeah.
So basically the format. So we're going to go through 10 to 6 today. Go through our honorable mentions next week.
Yeah, between 2 and 1, keep you on the
because we got
suspense.
Got to create the suspense, and then do the top 5 week after.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So the stipulations, we talk about rules and stipulations about what a tome is, what we're, how we grade it or whatever. This was like my stipulations that it had to be a work of fiction.
Yep.
There's might be an epic poem in one of my entries.
Perfect.
And I figured that was fine. And the length can be any, doesn't matter. Wrote a lot of quotes down, so it should be a good time. And we both don't know what the other has written.
We do not.
Although my page is right in front of you, so I think you can.
That's true. I've
peeping
glimpsed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't speak for you, but I know when I was doing this, as much of a reader as I am, there's only a handful of books I've read twice. So this will change over time. This is just in the moment. I looked at my bookshelf. These are actually, I made a list of all the ones. So basically, the way I did this, you can talk about how you did this if you want.
Bro, I got a cramp right now.
Oh, you got a foot cramp. Oh,
I'm
that's
so
the worst.
dehydrated, bro.
You ever got a foot cramp in bed?
Yes.
It's the worst.
I woke up with a calf cramp after a football game in high school once.
Yeah.
I was dreaming. I woke up and my entire calf, you could see, like, just crushing in on itself. And I screamed and hollered. My dad kicks my door open.
Yeah, because he's a firefighter, right? Yeah.
So he just legit just kicks it open. He's like, what's wrong? I go, I got a cramp. Oh my God, really? Punch it. And he just walks out. So I just started punching my calf. Yeah, that was my childhood.
Boom. punching calves.
Love my pops.
Yeah. You didn't get spanked. You got your calves punched.
I punched my own calf.
But yeah. So if you can talk about how you structure it, basically the way I did mine was I looked at my bookshelf of everything I've read, and I wrote down just initially all the titles that I thought were good. I think the total initially was like, I don't know, 30 something. Mm-hmm. And then out of that I made the top 10, and then 5 for honorable mention.
See, I was pretty sure about what exactly would be in my top 10. So I wrote the list of definites. No question. I just let my gut speak, and whatever I wrote down, I wrote it on a note card. Mm-hmm. And then on the backside, I did ones that I could do, and I was like, well, if I'm not so sure about those are just nice little honorable mentions. Then I just went to numbering them in some random order, and I was like, you know what? That works. I mean, it's pretty... I just kind of let my subconscious kind of do it for me, I think. I really just flowed with it. So I wrote some quotes down, and I got a whole bunch of... Well, not a whole bunch, but reasons why they have stuck with me. I might even tell how I found the book.
Okay.
But who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, but I'm pretty excited about this. Do you want to start?
I can start.
You want to start?
Yeah.
All right. Brett Hendricks. Number 10.
Number 10. Yeah, so my number 10 is actually the first work that really got me into classic lit.
Okay.
So the official title is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, 1865 by Lewis Carroll.
You son of a bitch. I'm also not recording at a school, so...
Boom, you can use it.
Dog. Life's a risk.
But even though it's considered it's considered both a children's work, a children's literature, but it also like an adult one, because what sparked it for me was just his absolute brilliant use of language. And
yeah. Oh yeah.
Just the absolute like nonsensical aspect of it, but yet it fit within the rules of structure of English grammar.
He's creating an entire world and list of characters for this little girl.
Yeah.
I wrote a paper about Lewis Carroll in senior year of high school. We had to write a famous author. I wanted to do Hunter S. Thompson, but the lovely Miss Horst shot that down real quick. And I was like, well, fine, I'll do Lewis Carroll. She goes, well, how do you pick one or the other? Or like, how did you go from Thompson to Carroll? I was like, oh, you don't want to know.
Well, I kind of have an idea why she shot your Thompson one down.
What?
Did you tell her you were going to do all the drugs Thompson did before writing it? That's probably what you did. I said it was going to be the most
accurate gonzo journalism an 18-year-old kid could do in high school. Or somewhere in the desert.
You know what? In her mind, she was just looking out for you. She didn't want to have a kid, die on her hands because he was trying to emulate a famous author who had an obnoxious tolerance for drugs.
I was trying to emulate Jim Morrison that entire year. Like, if you looked at pictures of me when I graduated, I looked like the fat Jim Morrison without the beard in Paris. So I was emulating Jim Morrison, emulating Hunter S. Thompson.
Okay.
Do you know what Jim Morrison looked like?
Yeah.
Do you know what he looked like when he was in Paris?
No.
Can you pull up a picture for him? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, with this new setup, we got computers in front of us and everything. Oh, look at that tar. We saw that last weekend.
Oh, we did. That was wonderful.
If you are listening, go ahead and go see Tar. It is amazing. It's a slow burn of psychological...
Oh, yeah, dude.
Psychological drama.
Yep. That seems about right.
Bo as Jim Morrison. Okay.
That's exactly how I had my hair. Yeah, man. Did you know he sang his vocals of L.A. Woman, arguably their best track, on the toilet?
Did he really?
Apparently.
I did not know that.
Yeah, man. Every gamer tag I've ever had has been like some Jim Morrison-esque quote.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
It's in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, because I agree. It's one of the things that got me into hard. I wouldn't say hard literature, but as a kid, I was really into, that imagery, not really knowing the subtext behind it. Like Disney's Alice in Wonderland, I was really into.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the first example of like the literary nonsense genre. I mean, at least that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I would probably say so. What else? You give me a little quote from there.
Well, before the quotes.
Sure.
There's just so many things that have come about from it. Like Dali illustrated it. Dali's my favorite artist.
I don't think you would have a huge influence on the surreal subgenre without Alice in Wonderland. Like, whatever you would deem as surreal through any medium. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland is like a,
I mean, there's literally a hookah smoking caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, especially.
Yes, my boy. Yeah. You wouldn't have one of the arguably greatest music videos of all time. Tom Petty as the Mad Hatter. Don't come around here no more. Yeah. Thank you. God bless. R.I.P.
And then, like one of my all-time favorite songs, White Rabbit, Jefferson Airplane.
One of my favorite scenes in books and movies is Dr. Gonzo. Play White Rabbit! Play White Rabbit! He's telling Dr. Gonzo to turn it, or Raoul Duke to turn it up, and throws it in the...
Yeah.
God. White Rabbit. Amazing. Such a good track.
Yeah, so I pulled three sets of quotes from it. So I think I loved how, there's comical quotes, there's philosophical quotes, and there's just his incredible use of wit and just wordplay. So, for example, a funny kind of dry comedy is, quote, "If you drink too much from a bottle marked poison, it is certain to disagree with you sooner or later."
Yep. He knew all about poison.
Yeah.
Not working with him later.
Yeah. Let's see. From philosophical, quote, "Alice asked the Cheshire Cat who was sitting in a tree, 'What road do I take?' The cat asked, 'Where do you want to go?' 'I don't know,' Alice answered. Then said the cat, 'It really doesn't matter, does it?'"
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, it doesn't matter.
I think one of my favorite quotes is... I don't know if I'm going to say it's my favorite, because I'm thinking I'm botching it. Is like when they ask her, what's the difference between a raven and like a bench or a table?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a weird riddle. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's so many of those in there. I couldn't pull them all out.
But it's so like out of left field. It makes no sense, and I think that's the point.
No, yeah.
I don't know. That's funny to me.
And then like another short philosophical one I noted was, "How long is forever? Sometimes just 1 second."
Yep.
Because, we have moments in our lives where 1 second
one.
Feels like it just goes on forever and ever. And usually it's in those, traumatic times in our lives. When something, a crisis happens or something. When
bringing it back to Gaddis. Sorry, I'm taking your book here.
That's okay. I mean, you didn't bring yours, so it's all good.
No, it's in my bag. I just didn't whip it out. Oh, God cares as much for moment as for hour.
Yes.
What mean? Wonderful. That's just tying it back to Gaddis, baby.
Yeah.
Now you're going to give me an existential crisis here in a second. Let's move on. Got anything else to say?
I got one last one.
All right.
So this is it demonstrates just his brilliant use of like wordplay. You probably heard this, the Jabberwocky poem.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. I have the complete works of Lewis Carroll on my shelf.
So I'm going to read this entire poem. It's pretty short. But it's basically gibberish. So, listen up. It says, "'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the momes raz outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jubjub bird, and shun the fruminous bandersnatch. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raz outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub bird and shun the frumious bandersnatch.
You read that better than I thought you would. I'm not gonna lie, buddy. I thought you were gonna trip up. Yeah. That was flawless. You're gonna start reading everything from now on.
You know what I was thinking? I don't know this. Maybe you know. But the Black Mirror Bandersnatch film, was that a reference to this?
I think so.
Yeah.
Just like the term Bandersnatch, I would think.
Okay, it's kind of a general term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That was the one that was the adventure one, right?
Yeah, where you could pick how it goes.
Yeah, I never finished that.
Yeah, apparently there were like 200 possible different ways that you could go.
Yeah, shout out to my brother David. We did it at his place and never finished it. I don't know why. Yeah. Anyway.
On to you, my boy.
Okay.
Number 10.
Number 10.
Wait, coming in at number 10.
This is going to be really quick because, spoiler alert, we talked about this already. Top 10, Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace.
Okay.
I think it was a beautiful example of maximalist expression and the art movement. And we've talked about this already. Swirling and meticulous craftsmanship with pinpoint prose that makes you laugh 1 minute and punches you in the stomach with all of its bleak and depressive moments. The more you think about it, despite what DFW might have said, you know, that you really do get into the psyche of him. I think. I mean, and with this quote, sarcasm and jokes were often the bottle in which clinical depressives sent out their most What is that word? What is that word?
Which word? Depressives?
No, I just said that.
Oh, plangent.
Plangent. Thank you. Plangent screams for someone to care and help them. And I think that is exactly what that book was.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the more, like, you have to get a couple hundred pages into it to fully realize that it is Wallace pouring his heart out on the page.
Yeah.
You know, if you only read the first 20, 30 pages, you're not going to get there. You're going to be like, what is this? It's like nonsensical. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, yeah, and the beginning of the book is the end of the book.
Yeah.
That's the Infinite Jest. Yeah. There's many things that are the Infinite. I couldn't find it because I was trying to look it up, but there is a funny math quote. When you find Avril and John Wayne diddling, and they're talking about like how many times does 56 go into 16 or something like that. Yeah. It went right over my head until I started doing more like analysis of the book, and there's like he has this whole equation out for this sexual encounter, and that went over my head. I just want to talk about that now that we're not in this school. Yeah. I was like, that's gross. What a weird way to say something funny. All right. I don't want to talk about Infinite Jest anymore. I'm done with it.
Wow, okay. Spoiler alert. I have that on my top 10 list. So we'll come back to it.
I think it's in your top 5.
Are you trying to say you peeked at my list?
No, because I remember you saying it's in my top 5.
Oh, yeah.
It's in my top 10.
That's true. All right, so my number 9.
Number 9.
Coming in at number 9. This Side of Paradise by Fitzgerald.
Oh. Subversive. I'm not going to lie. You're like one of the only people I know who reads Gatsby and says that anything else by him is worth reading. I'm not going to lie. I know 2 people so far who like Gatsby or like Fitzgerald and say that Gatsby's like the one thing you really just need to read.
I mean, Gatsby's good, but it's like
hot take. I don't care that much for Gatsby. It was not my favorite book I read.
Did I put Gatsby on my list? No.
You put
This Side of Paradise on the list.
Okay, let's get into it.
Because I love Fitzgerald's prose.
I haven't read This Side of Paradise.
Whoa.
Yeah, man.
Okay, let me try to convince you.
Wonderful title, though.
Oh, yeah. So I think this is his best work. And it was his debut novel, actually. He wrote it. It was published when he was 23.
Dang. Did he know Zelda at this point?
No. Fun fact. he was able to convince Zelda to marry her because he got it published.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically it's like a coming of age story of a college kid during the 20s, so the Jazz Age, right after World War I, right before World War II, and it's basically, Fitzgerald illustrates the battles that were going on at the time between the youth and kind of their parents, the old traditions, so it's it goes in and out of relationships during college, and it demonstrates all the hedonism of the 20s.
Okay.
The hedonism that really still goes on in college campuses.
Yes, that is an entire culture of college.
So, let me read you some quotes.
Oh,
I have a few.
By all means.
And, since you seem to like my voice, I guess,
God, I could just hear it right in my...
So, I picked a few that I picked 4 to be exact, that kind of represent kind of what it's all about.
Whisper your sweet nothings into my ear.
Sweet nothings. So this first one says, quote, "I don't want to repeat my innocence. I want the pleasure of losing it again."
Say it one more time. One more time.
"I don't want to repeat my innocence. I want the pleasure of losing it again."
God bless. That's good, right?
I think you need, just based off that, you need to read it.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that tickles my toes.
You ready for another one?
Yeah. Wreck me.
"Youth is like having a big plate of candy. Sentimentalists think they want to be in the pure, simple state they were in before they ate the candy. They don't. They just want the fun of eating it all over again."
Yeah, that one's good. But you know what? That's the exact same quote as the one you just read.
Okay. I mean, I said it was multiple. Okay.
Yep.
So this quote, I believe, I didn't go back and look exactly the context, but I believe it's an older person talking to the protagonist, Amory Blaine. He goes, "Don't let yourself feel worthless. Often through life, you will really be at your worst when you seem to think best of yourself. And don't worry about losing your personality, as you persist in calling it. At 15, you had the radiance of early morning. At 20, you will begin to have the melancholy brilliance of the moon. And when you are my age, you will give out, as I do, the genial golden warmth of 4 p.m. Yeah, what do you think about that?
That's dense. That's heavy. I don't know. What do you think about it? Yeah.
I got one more.
Putting places to names.
Last one for this. It says, quote, "People try so hard to believe in leaders now, pitifully hard. But we no sooner get a popular reformer or politician or soldier or writer or philosopher, a Roosevelt, a Tolstoy, a Wood, a Shaw, a Nietzsche, than the cross currents of criticism wash him away. My lord, no man can stand prominence these days. It's the surest path to obscurity. People get sick of hearing the same name over and over."
In the time where the great man theory is no longer needed, or it's being challenged more and more, I think that sticks up. I think that aged. What year did that come out?
1920.
102 years ago? Way ahead of his time. I did that right?
Yeah. Okay. It is 2022.
I was a film major. Was too dumb enough to get into the intro course at college for math.
So did that convince you to give it a shot at some point?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? Email us at onceuponatome22@gmail.com and tell me how wrong I am of not really caring that much for Gatsby. I know this is this side of paradise, but that really kind of has held me back from reading the rest of Fitzgerald's work. I like his story, and I think it's incredibly tragic. Hemingway's philosophy of life of just partying up and hedonistic tendencies, and how self-destructive he was, his wife was. And I do think Gatsby is worth reading. I think it's a good intro. It just didn't work for me.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Did it not work? Do you think an element why it didn't work for you was because of how much hype Gatsby gets?
I'm glad you said that because dating myself a little bit. My junior year of high school, you know what came out?
The Baz Luhrmann Gatsby?
The DiCaprio Gatsby. So we got extra credit to go see it. And I was like, I don't like Baz Luhrmann in general anyway. Moulin Rouge is... Ugh. I like Ewan McGregor.
Can you make that sound again?
It's so heavy. Like, not heavy. It's headache inducing to me. It's so much pizzazz and pomp right at your face in all moments, and the editing just seems like I'm either on cocaine, speed, or I have like ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really get to know the characters or anything like that. So that's how I felt about it.
That's a film, though.
I know, but I don't know why.
You're judging a book by the film?
Look, I'm not... You talked about...
Have you read Great Gatsby?
Yes,
okay.
I told you.
Okay.
My junior year it came out,
okay.
So the hype around it. I'm a hipster. If something is overhyped or has a lot of popularity, I kind of hesitant about it.
Oh, yeah, I feel you.
I don't even know... How did I get here?
Because I asked you if one of the reasons you didn't really like Great Gatsby is because it was overhyped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been overhyped.
It's definitely overhyped. Now, talking about it again, one of my favorite writers was said to type up the prose from Great Gatsby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he learned how to write.
But I don't
and
think
it kind of bothers me that I don't like it. Yeah. It honestly bothers me.
I don't think we're getting to the root issue here, though.
Probably not. Are you going to psychoanalyze me now?
Yeah, I'm about to. We're going to go from A to C.
God
here.
Bless.
Yes or no? You're a fan of good prose.
Yes.
Do you think Fitzgerald has great prose? That's really all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's proven that he has great prose. I don't know why Gatsby didn't stick with me.
Yeah.
But it just,
I mean, honestly, there are some authors like that. Like, for example, like I mentioned last episode, I'm reading Brideshead Revisited, and Evelyn Waugh has great prose, but for some reason it's just not sticking with me.
Okay. Yeah, anyway.
But
I will definitely read This Side of Paradise. Yeah. That title is amazing.
And I own it. Or maybe I'll just buy a copy for you.
Hey,
or it is everywhere, so.
My little brother Zach, when he read Gatsby, got into like this phase where he would just tell everyone like, "Hey, old sport," and is like my littlest brother, so he was really into Gatsby, and he would always be like, "Old sport, old sport." It's like he's 17 years old, like
talking like a Sean Connery voice.
Yeah. And he doesn't even watch James Bond.
Want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
So this is the first year I haven't done it, but up until this year, sometimes I would have talked to the kids in like Sean Connery voice, and they have no idea who I'm talking about.
You want to know a hot take?
He's really old, and these kids are super young, so they've never heard of him.
Sean Connery's not my favorite Bond.
Really?
Yep. That is the great Sir Roger Moore.
Isn't he the one everyone hates?
Everyone hates George Lazenby.
That's right.
People liked. You know what's funny? No, you know what?
Lazenby was the Australian one, right?
Nah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm a big Bond fan. Yeah. Let's not get into it because I can go for hours.
Can I do a quick sidebar?
Yes, one of the greatest names of all time. What's that on your back? Oh, that's my little octopussy. What? Who wrote this dialogue? So stupid, but I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on because I can talk about Bond all day.
All right, let's go. You number 9.
Number 9. Mine number 9 pick is Stoner by John Williams. Not John Williams of Star Wars fame.
Not the composer, you're saying?
Yes, but a totally different dude.
And Bo, who introduced you to this book?
That would be you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the great, not great, the highly entertaining book reviewer Better Than Foods has a video about it, and I would highly suggest watching it because that also works for me.
And I think, if I might add, so this was a book that I picked up at a thrift store, and this is my first introduction to New York Review of Books.
Okay, the Criterion of Books.
The Criterion of Books, yeah. So
yeah.
So I will continue.
Okay, so this is going to be a reoccurring theme. There are a few books in here that I couldn't stop. It was like a drug for me where I couldn't stop reading it, and I probably consumed all of it within a 24-hour period. There was a night a couple months, I think it was earlier this year, where I had just couldn't sleep, so I was like, I'll just start reading. Maybe I'll fall asleep, then I'll pick up Stoner, and it was so exquisite that I ended up staying up until like 3 a.m.
His prose is incredible.
And the reason was because I got to the part where Lomax and his mentee are, Charles Walker, are introduced. And I had never met a more dreaded character. And it's because it's so relatable. There's no pomp, pizzazz, nothing with this book. Literally nothing happens except, a man's life. Yeah. It has some of the greatest prose I've ever read. It's devastating. And it happened in Missouri.
Yeah, took place University of Missouri.
Yeah, Mizzou. Anyway, let me read you some quotes. Sometimes, immersed in his books, there would come to him the awareness of all that he did not know, of all that he had not read, and the serenity for which he labored was shattered as he realized the little time he had in life to read so much, to learn what he had to know. That's one of those reoccurring themes where you realize you're going against the clock here. So if you want to read a good book, you fucking better start reading.
Yeah.
Or in any kind of art form you're really into, you better start doing it now, because
time's limited.
Yep. Another one. The love of literature, of language, of the mystery of the mind and heart showing themselves in the minute, strange, and unexpected combinations of letters and words, in the blackest and coldest print. The love which he had hidden as if it were illicit and dangerous, he began to display, tentatively at first, and then boldly, and then proudly, which is where I feel like I'm at. It's exactly how I felt. Now I'm doing it loudly with this podcast. Yep. And last quote. Like all lovers, they spoke much of themselves, as if they might thereby understand the world which made them possible. Made me reevaluate how I approached any relationship before now, how I conducted myself, and I was like, dang, yeah, when I was like in college and all that, that's how you don't really meet somebody. You kind of meet yourself, or you're trying to construct this narrative of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks, man. Let me tell you. Anyway, it has one of the most heartbreaking endings. You're literally seeing the light fade from him. He's talking about how the light's coming in from the window. I love it when someone can write something so like existentially beautiful about something that people take for granted. Something as simple as the light coming in. You know?
Yeah.
And to pair that with the book in his lap and him dying. I literally looked outside and walked around for a bit after I got done reading it. I was like, this is just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, not to give the book away, but
he dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. But, it starts out essentially pretty shortly after his birth and then ends with his death. So you get to see his entire lifespan.
Yeah. Wonderful book. 10 out of 10. Good time, no alcohol required.
Boom.
All right. Number 8 for Brett.
Number 8. Coming in at number 8. So I have The Trial by Franz Kafka.
I knew this was coming up.
Written in 1914. So,
You go for it, man.
So I know they throw around Kafka's name a lot, but I feel like very few people who use it have actually read him.
Oh, this is an actual song he does? Oh, that's wild. We got to listen to that later.
Okay. So, like, you've heard the term Kafka-esque, right?
Yeah, because it's Kafka-esque.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, what all that means is, so Kafka, every single one of his main characters in his novels and his short stories, they go through life not really knowing what is going on and not be able to control everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
that's what all of his books are about, right?
Yeah.
His stories? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the metamorphosis. This guy wakes up, he's a bug, and, like, nobody cares about him.
Yeah, that's
he has
the
no
only
idea what to do.
Kafka
He's
I've
trying to escape, and that's his most famous work.
Can I tell you a story real quick? It's not about the trial.
You turn into a bug?
No, I feel like a bug most days. I think I get the metamorphosis now.
Whoa!
Anyway, there's a cinematographer I used to work with, name of Tom Glavine. Wonderful friend.
Was he also a left-handed pitcher for the Braves?
No. Honestly, I love Tom so much, but I don't think he ever threw a baseball in his life. Anyway, we were shooting something with each other one day, and we were talking about some books that we were reading. I think we were talking about style, and how where our vision usually is and what aesthetic we're trying to achieve and all that. And I think he said, if you want to understand me, man, you need to read the Metamorphosis. So he gave me his copy. I read it before one of my classes because it's only like 55 pages, right?
Yeah.
I read it, short. And I text him. I go, how the fuck am I supposed to understand anything? What do you mean this is you? Because I didn't see it. Granted, I knew everything was like it's a metaphor and all that. But yeah, it is a good read. It's a solid 8 out of 10.
So,
but I didn't explain how visually speaking that was his palette. I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, so for me, I love Kafka. Like, don't get me wrong, it's pretty dry. It's pretty tough to get through. But it's when I step back and think about what actually is going on and like the absurdity of it. Mm-hmm. And like when you actually look at it like as a comedy, it is so freaking funny.
There's this wonderful sculpture, I think, of Kafka. I think where was he at?
I think he's from Prague.
Yeah, I think they have something in Prague. It's like just his face, and it's pretty sick looking.
And like all his novels were unfinished. They're all published posthumously.
Is it posthumously or is it posthumously?
I think it's posthumously. I mispronounced that.
It's okay. I couldn't say a word that was in my own quote.
But
we like reading, right?
We do.
This is a reading podcast.
It is.
God bless.
I know.
Anyway,
can I read some quotes?
Oh, please do.
So the basic plot of this book. We'll give some background info and I'll read one or two quotes and move on to Bo's number 8. So the main character his name he just goes by K. His full name is Joseph K. We don't know his last name. We assume that K for Kafka, but he just goes by K. He's a bank officer who is charged with a crime and he must defend himself, but he has no idea what he's even being charged with and can't get any information whatsoever. So he's just being like led around aimlessly, trying to get through the proceedings. And even the proceedings, they don't tell him anything. So I found this actually online earlier, but Kafka was heavily influenced by Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment and the brothers Karamazov.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So this quote I'm about to read pretty much sums up exactly the theme or predicament in the book. It says, "But I'm not guilty," said Kay. "There's been a mistake. How is it even possible for someone to be guilty? We're all human beings here, one like the other." "That is true," said the priest, "but that is how the guilty speak."
I think I've heard that.
So with Kafka, it's not so much about the prose, it's about the situation he creates with the prose. So it's almost like another layer that you have to think about to really understand it.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, another one?
I do. Okay, this one's a little bit longer. It says, one must lie low, no matter how much it went against the grain, and try to understand that this great organization remained, so to speak, in a state of delicate balance, and that if someone took it upon himself to alter the disposition of things around him, he ran the risk of losing his footing and falling to destruction, while the organization would simply right itself by some compensating reaction in another part of its machinery, since everything interlocked and remained unchanged unless, indeed, which was very probable, it became still more rigid, more vigilant, severe, and more ruthless. So basically what he's saying is, yeah, you could do this one thing, but there's going to be this other thing on the other side that's going to rearrange to prevent you from doing whatever you want to do. So like regardless, you're screwed.
All right. Yeah.
So.
Dang.
Definitely, Kafka is not. I mean, granted, there are exceptions to every single rule, but I am not one who would be able to read Kafka late at night. For me, I'd have to read it probably morning, early afternoon when I have a lot of energy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's easy. Because like a lot of times with his prose, there's one I've read he didn't really use in the original transcripts. There's like very little punctuation. And so when the translators translate, they try to be as what's the word, as faithful to that as possible. And so there are like tons of run-on sentences.
When you read Kafka, how much emphasis do you put in with, or how much do you think about the whole story of his caretaker going against what he had written in his will, saying like, do not publish my work, I don't want this scene ever, and he's like, well, this is good and I'm gonna make some money off of this, right? Because when I read the Metamorphosis and then I read about Kafka, that's something I think about all the time. Now, anytime that Kafka's brought up, like that's like the first thing that comes to my mind.
Well, I mean, there are
duality, like the irony of that.
Yeah, I mean, there are theories out there, like legitimate ones, that say that he kind of said that to his confidant in jest, like knowing his friend would go ahead and publish him. So.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really care because he wrote. He was a great writer.
No,
I get to enjoy it.
Like it takes away from the art, but I think it adds a little bit more nuance. It's like how fragile these texts are because they shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's not the fact that they, it couldn't have happened. Like it should not have happened technically, right? But it did, and now are we better for it? Does it go against his wishes?
I think we are.
I think we are. Even though I need to read more Kafka.
Have you read any Kafka besides the Metamorphosis?
No.
So, fun fact about Kafka, and I will say this one last thing and then let you move on to your number 8. I think I mentioned this before to you, but do you know he wrote America without ever visiting the United States?
Yeah.
He got all of his information from newspapers.
That's crazy. I wonder what it's like. Is it good?
It's actually very good, yeah.
All right, I'll give it a read. All right. Ready for mine?
I'm ready.
All right. This is an uncontroversial pick, but it is controversial because it's so obvious, I think. And I'll go into why I like it so much.
Okay.
But number 8 is Great Expectations by Charles Dickens.
Okay.
A lot of my favorite writers would probably use Dickens as a way to rebel against the people that came before them. Like I remember watching Kill Your Darlings at a young age, right? And Lucien Carr says like, let's be gone with Dickens and give me Henry Miller and stuff like that. So as like a rebellious kind of kid, you're like, yeah, fuck A Christmas Carol. I'm not going to read that anymore. But my mom came back on a trip and she gave me a copy of Great Expectations because she was realizing that I was getting into classics and literature and stuff like that. So as a way to connect with me, she gave me a copy of Great Expectations. And she had just got done reading David Copperfield during the pandemic. and it was like one of the greatest things she's ever, read.
Is she a reader?
Yeah, I would say so. She got me into reading at a young age. Both my parents kind of definitely pushed me with it. Every Christmas or every birthday, a family member would give us books. Like that was nice. Like a requirement.
Yeah.
So in Christmas, it's a read, a wear, a need, and a want. And those are our gifts that we get.
That's pretty
every
cool.
Year. Yep. So, Mom gives me a copy of Great Expectations, and as a way to connect with my mother, I was like, I'll read it right after this book that I'm doing now. And I did, and I was astounded, and I was kicking myself because I had neglected reading Dickens solely because I thought it was some part of fake faux establishment that I was rebelling against in my head. And he is somebody I think...
Kind of like Great Gatsby?
Yeah, probably. I'm a hypocrite. Anyway, Dickens is somebody I think that we do take for granted. He has the term Dickensian about him. Everyone kind of copies him. Everyone knows he pretty much invented the cliffhanger. But his characters are some of the most well-established and unique people you will ever come across and meet in a book. And there's reasons for that, because he took somebody from his life and made it nuanced and knew every single niche and detail about that person and either extrapolated it or tried to do him as much justice as possible. So the people that really did, there are so many Scrooge-esque characters in his books because that's what he had to deal with. He had, I think he had like fatherly issues or something like that, and I might be totally wrong, but there's a reason why Scrooge is such a prominent type of trope for him.
I mean, if we're going to be real, we all have daddy issues.
I don't.
You don't?
No, my pops and I are tight. I love my dad. Anyway. Dude, yeah, reading, I think it's because my expectations were so low, that the first freaking chapter, Pip goes, I looked at the stars and considered how awful it would be for a man to turn his face up to them as he froze to death and see no help or pity in all the glittering multitude. How? This is technically a child character, a book kind of for children. Like, you read this in the freaking newspaper as a column, and you read something like that? Like, this is a popular work. Now we don't... like, that wrecked me. It's coming from the kid in the story that you follow. And that's the great beauty of this book, is that it ranges different genres. You go dark comedy, regular comedy, it's dramatic, there's adventure, and it's also gothic. It has one of the greatest gothic characters in the whole book. I mean, he blends so many genres and he does it so well. You don't even fucking question it. Not one iota of question, because you know that what he's saying is sincere and he's telling you a great message, and that is, look what Pip could have achieved if he wasn't so cold and ashamed of where he came from. Yeah. Right? That's why it's called Great Expectations, because he had it, didn't really amount to it because he was so blinded all the time. Another one. Pause, you who read this, and think for a moment of the long chain of iron or gold or thorns or flowers that would never have bound you but for the formation of the first link on one memorial day. Or memorable day, my bad. Yeah. It's pretty good, right? Last one. I must be taken as I have been made. The success is not mine, the failure is not mine, but the two together make me. I think that's a pretty well-known one, right? It's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, what do you think about Dickens?
I've actually never read him.
Really?
But I think probably one of the reasons he gets a bad rap is because he has so many works that were so popular.
Yeah, but every single one of them is like a standard.
I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying, most authors have like 3 or 4 really, really seminal works. Mm-hmm. But it's like he has 7 or 8,
Yeah, and I think that I think an argument can be made with which one is his best work. Now, rereading A Christmas Carol as I get older, fantastic. I mean, it really is really cool to read, but yeah. Justice for Dickens, man.
Yeah, it's on my bookshelf.
I would suggest reading it. I'm going to read David Copperfield here pretty soon, I think. You know what? That's a tome.
Oh.
David Copperfield might be coming up to a podcast near you.
Let us know what you think. Email us, onceuponatome22@gmail.com.
That's the right one, baby. On to number 7.
All right.
I'm excited about this one, number 7. I really am.
Yeah.
My next 2 I'm going to be geeking out about.
I hope I'm geeking out about it, too.
You're always geeking.
I'm a geeker.
You geek all over the place.
Oh!
Pretty gross in here.
So my number 7 is actually it's a series. It's a series, believe it or not.
Oh, that is such a cop out.
Wait.
Okay.
It is The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis.
Oh.
So it was written between 1950 and 1956. Very, very well-known series. Most people are familiar with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But that's the second book in a set of 7.
Right.
So, I mean, the reason I love it, one, I love C.S. Lewis. He's a great Christian apologist. But what he was really known for is depicting in words, creating imagery of things that are very hard to wrap our minds around. And so the whole series of the Chronicles of Narnia is basically parallels the Bible. So you see...
Yeah, isn't Aslan Jesus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see from creation to the end of the age when Christ returns and creates new heaven, new earth, and his prose is just beautiful.
Okay. I had a box set as a kid.
I have a box set of
Narnia, and I didn't read it.
Yeah.
Read much of it.
So my favorite book of the series is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I think it's the 6th. And I have a very long quote. Are you good if I read it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Might as well.
I want you to close your eyes for this one. And if you're listening right now, I want you to close your eyes as I read this. So this takes place as the main characters are on a ship on the sea. It says, quote, "Probably they were not, but they were very like them. And when after some consultation, the Dawn Treader turned back into the current and began to glide eastward through the Lily Lake or the Silver Sea, they tried both these names, but it was the Silver Sea that stuck and is now on Caspian's map. The strangest part of their travels began. Very soon the open sea which they were leaving was only a thin rim of blue on the western horizon. Whiteness, shot with the faintest color of gold, spread round them on every side, except just astern where their passage had thrust the lilies apart, and left an open lane of water that shone like dark green glass. To look at, this last sea was very like the Arctic, and if their eyes had not by now grown as strong as the eagle's, the sun on all that whiteness, especially at early morning when the sun was hugest, would have been unbearable. And every evening the same whiteness made the daylight last longer. There seemed no end to the lilies. Day after day, from all those miles and leagues of flowers, there rose a smell which Lucy found it very hard to describe. Sweet, yes, but not at all sleepy or overpowering. A fresh, wild, lonely smell that seemed to get into your brain and make you feel that you could go up mountains, at a run, or wrestle with an elephant. She and Caspian said to one another, "I feel that I can't stand much more of this, yet I don't want it to stop." And that's like a kid's book. And it's just absolutely beautiful. One of the most beautiful descriptions.
Oh, Fish has a song about Prince Caspian? That's sick. I don't know much about Fish. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It really is impressive. I like that. Yeah. I remember my brother being really into Narnia when we were growing up. When did you start reading that?
I read them as a kid, and then I reread them a few years ago.
Okay.
So,
Tilda Swinton.
yeah, I think Disney made a few of the series, a few of the books.
They did all the even numbered ones.
Yeah, they didn't do the full series though.
Nah. I remember getting called out of school when I was 10 to go see The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, I actually was part of school. I think in second grade we read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, C.S. Lewis, he's just such a great writer, and he has the ability to just not only create great visual images with words, but simplify complex philosophical issues. Like in the Mere Christianity that I gave you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you think that's part of his brilliance, is that he can condense these deep philosophical issues for kids and all that? And
no, yeah, he's able to take these super deep, complex issues and convey them in a way that's simple enough for the common man.
I think that's why Lord of the Rings is still as powerful and popular as it is it was back then, because, I mean, they're basic concepts of good versus evil, but the way in which he builds and constructs these worlds, they're also best friends.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, no one knew what Lord of the Rings was. No, critics did not know what to do with it.
Right.
And they say, fantasy these days, every single fantasy is a mimicry on some level of Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones is, Harry Potter, all this stuff, is imitating Lord of the Rings.
Interesting. Another debate for another time.
Coming in at number 7 for Bo.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson. Now,
I've never heard of this.
I am so freaking glad. Because you probably think it's probably a Christian novel, right? Flippin' wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a movie with Billy Crudup in it. I need to watch it. I need to find it. No. The title comes from one of the great Velvet Underground songs, Heroin.
Okay. As in the drug, or a female hero?
As in the drug.
Okay.
The muse of that, probably of the Velvet Underground and many artists, and unfortunately Dennis Johnson, who did die. Yeah, and he was an up and coming writer, and who had he struggled from substance abuse and stuff like that, but he was a teacher.
Okay.
Smith introduced me to him, and he gave me this book.
High school teacher or college professor?
College professor.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a short book, and from go, man, it was like a race. I couldn't put it down. I read it in about 4 hours. I literally opened it up one afternoon, and I couldn't stop reading. It has one of the most devastating openings to any book I've ever read, and it's the sad thing, and it's hilarious, and it's gross, and it's sad because there's people I know who are exactly like some of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character's name is Fuckhead. And I'm telling you about some beautiful quotes here, but yeah, the main character's name is Fuckhead, and he does like some of the worst types of things, and it's just so heartbreaking to read, and it's like an adrenaline rush. So here's my first quote. And therefore I look down into the great pity of a person's life on this earth. I don't mean that we all end up dead. That's not the great pity. I mean that he couldn't tell me what he was dreaming, and I couldn't tell him what was real.
Whoa.
Yeah, these little tiny vignettes. Not only are there little vignettes like that, but it's structured as if you think they're like little short stories, and they will all connect at some point in time. Another one. With each step, my heart broke for the person I would never find, the person who'd love me.
Ooh.
When I was probably around, that little world, I felt like that at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So it hit me right when I needed it to. How could I do it? How could a person go that low? And I understand your question. He's talking to you, the reader. And I understand your question, to which I reply, are you kidding? That's nothing. I'd been much lower than that. And I expected to see myself do worse. So this is your main character, right? This one will hit you. Think of being curled up and floating in a darkness. Even if you could think, even if you had an imagination, would you ever imagine its opposite? This miraculous world the Asian Taoists call the 10,000 things. And if the darkness just got darker, and then you were dead, what would you care? How would you even know the difference? Yeah. And the last one. A brutal yet... Or no. Fuck. No, that was it. Yeah, that was just my description. Yeah. Reading this book. Well, if you've ever done anything bad. I remember I got this criticism once for a screenplay I wrote. And my professor told me, this is when I read your novel, it felt I could remember what cocaine was like dripping down my nose and going down my spine. I was like, what? He's like, have you ever done cocaine? And I was like, no. If I had done cocaine, that's exactly what had happened in my own system. Mm-hmm. That's how it felt. And he was like, oh, I can't put this down. It's incredible. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I mean, I would hope all these are 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but this one's definitely. If it could go up to 11, it would.
Like Spinal Tap?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, read this book. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I'm going to have to read that one.
And listen to more Lou Reed. There's a lot of good underrated Lou Reed records after Transformer. You like Lou Reed?
I don't know. I have no... No. I mean, I remember in the past, like years ago, listening to some of this stuff.
It's back. Oh, I got a cramp.
But I can't tell you right now. I didn't dislike. I think if I disliked him, I would know. But
I think
I know he was the lead singer of the Velvet Underground, right?
Yeah, a professor of his told him he would never make it as a writer because his lyrics were so simple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's like, well, that's the point. And they seem so simple, but they're deep, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude, this song kicks ass.
Now, which one are you looking at here?
Dirty Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of good Lou Reed out there. My favorite was Street Hassle. I think it's like 11 minutes long. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I have some good memories of that one, man. And then you think it's over, man. Oh, no way. It's got like these strings in it, which is so funny because it's like he's one of the originators of punk music.
Oh, yeah.
This song with strings in it goes incredibly hard. Great cover, too. Yeah. What a cool guy.
Look at those aviators, man.
He's the only guy I think would look good in aviators. Really? Other than that, I think aviators are like super fratty and douchey.
You don't think Tom Cruise can pull them off in Top Gun?
No. He only does it because he's supposed to. You know what I mean? Like they want you to be aroused when he does that. Yeah. That's fine. No, but that's dope. That looks punk rock right there.
I mean, did aviators originate in the punk scene?
No, aviators originated probably like 1940.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Maybe even earlier than that. I don't know. I don't know fashion.
Did Ray-Ban
Look what I'm wearing. I got no jeans on today.
Did Ray-Ban... Did they have the official first design of it?
Again, I don't know. I go through sunglasses like nobody's business, man. I break a lot. Or I lose them.
So if you're listening and you know, write us a note. Once Upon a Tome 22.
Give me some new glasses.
At gmail.com. Let us know the history or just your thoughts on aviators.
Or if you want to send me a pair of Ray-Bans. I like the Elvis Costello looking ones.
If someone does send in a real pair, are you going to lose them again?
No, I will cherish those.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like in my history, when I have legitimate sunglasses...
Yeah. The second one.
When I have...
that one.
When I have legitimate sunglasses, I tend to take much better care of them than if I just buy like $5 ones.
Dude, Elvis Costello is so cool. I love Elvis.
Yeah. If you're wondering why we keep getting off track, we have some computer monitors in front of us that our producer is using to pull up images to spark conversation.
That's a good record right there. Trust? That's one he does mostly like some covers, right? Is that the rockabilly covers and stuff like that? Country tunes? Yeah. Or is that Almost Blue? Yeah, he's one of the greatest lyricists of all time. I'll go to bat for him. I think it's actually very well established that he is. Oh, yeah.
Does he...
New Lace Sleeves, baby.
Does he hit a home run with this record?
With this one in particular? Yeah. No. He hits a home run with Armed Forces.
Okay.
And then he beats you with the bat that he uses, like Al Capone. That and this year's model. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Email me what you think the greatest Elvis Costello record is. Oh, Imperial Bedroom, dude? Heck yeah. Remember when we used to talk about books?
I do.
God bless. I love...
we only have...
Fucking... Oh, yeah, dude. Dude, track 1 all the way to What's So Funny. It's irreplaceable. Two Little Hitlers has some of the greatest wordplay you will ever hear about a relationship.
Okay.
I highly recommend that track. That's probably my favorite Costello track.
Tell you what, I will listen to it this week. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll listen to it between now and the next time we record.
Bet. All right. Number 6.
It's the last one we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
For this episode.
I'm glad we broke this down into 2. I knew this would happen.
Yeah. So my number 6 is Wise Blood by Flannery O'Connor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to read some O'Connor.
Yeah, I convinced you to buy it, and you bought it, and you told me you were going to read it, and then you didn't, so...
Yeah, because I got some other stuff up on the queue, but it's going to happen soon.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
So Flannery O'Connor, she was kind of one of my favorite Southern Gothic writers.
Okay.
At some point I'd like to go to her house, which has been turned into a museum, which is, I think, Savannah, Georgia. I think we were talking about it on the road trip, but we didn't make it up to Georgia. We only made it through Atlanta, your favorite city.
There's a reason we didn't make it up there, because I had to get through Atlanta. Hey, no offense, any Atlantans who may be listening, but your traffic is terrible.
Nothing against you, but your traffic
and
sucks.
Nothing against the Braves, actually.
Oh, you got something against the Braves?
They're not going to re-sign Dansby Swanson, my boy. He gone.
Think we could get him? Cardinals?
No, God, no. We don't pick up names, dude.
No.
We got a good farm system.
I mean, so they say.
Oh, just you wait. Jordan Walker, baby. He's coming. Continue.
So Flannery O'Connor, she was a devout Catholic, so all of her work is kind of imbued with, what was it, imbued, yeah, with just these theological themes. And so this one is basically that you can't ever escape God. So the main character, Hazel Motes, he comes back from World War II. He was injured. He's having a crisis of faith, so he resolves to form like an anti-religious ministry. So essentially, it becomes an atheist preacher in a sense. So, but what the paradox here is that, and this, I'm reading from just a summary I found. It says, despite his aversion to all the trappings of Christianity, he constantly contemplates theological issues and finds himself compelled to purchase a hat and suit that causes others to mistake him for a minister. So as he goes through this journey, he just keeps meeting people, meeting Christians, and it's like no matter how much he tries to distance himself from God, he still finds himself wrestling with God at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, I know the character, but that's only because I saw a clip of the John Huston adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
John Huston's a master, dude.
Yeah, and so, for example, this quote, I think it's from the early part of the book. It says, there was already a deep, black, wordless conviction in him that the way to avoid Jesus was to avoid sin.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And then another one. This is a quote from Hazel. Kind of when he's preaching. He goes, I preach there are all kinds of truth, your truth and somebody else's. But behind all of them, there's only one truth, and that is that there is no truth. No truth behind all truths is what I in this church preach. Where you come from is gone. Where you thought you were going to never was there. And where you are is no good unless you can get away from it. Where is there a place for you to be? No place. In yourself right now is all the place you've got.
Yep, that's a good one. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what I love about Flannery, or what I love about O'Connor is you don't so much get it in these quotes I read, but in all of her characters, she shows absolutely zero compassion for them.
Okay.
Like, they reap their own consequences. Like, A Good Man is Hard to Find is possibly the best short story I've ever read.
Is it better than Hemingway's short stories? Like The Snows of Kilimanjaro?
I will say...
the elephant one?
I will say right now, yes. For the simple fact that, one, I loved A Good Man is Hard to Find.
Mm-hmm.
And The Snows of Kilimanjaro was my first introduction to Hemingway, and I didn't really get it. So I didn't like it. So I don't have the connection to Hemingway there that I did, for example, like when I read For Whom the Bell Tolls a few months ago.
Right.
So I need to go back and read those short stories, having come off For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Okay.
But definitely A Good Man is Hard to Find is... I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's in the short story collection I bought. That was actually what you told me to read first.
Oh, yeah. Wait, do you ever complete short stories?
Yeah, dude, I bought it when we were in, we were on the farm system tour.
Oh, really? So it was either Peoria or Springfield?
Yeah, I think it was Springfield.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when the Marxists didn't show up for work.
Yeah.
There was a store, right, called Book Marx, and had the wonderful Karl Marx as their...
And Marx was spelled M-A-R-X.
Yeah. And they were supposed to be open. We got there right when they opened. We even waited a good 10 minutes so we weren't those people.
And then we came back later on in the day.
Yeah. They just didn't show up. We didn't go there on a weekend. We went there like on a Wednesday.
No sign or nothing on the
No
door.
holiday. Nothing.
So if you work at Bookmarks and you are listening right now...
Yeah, baby.
if you do not email us with either a legitimate explanation or some kind of code for some store credit... we will continue to bash you.
Yeah.
And you will be the butt of continued jokes.
God, I really want to go into that store. But they apparently just don't want to work. There you go, Bookmarks Books. It looked like they had such cool stuff.
I mean, didn't we see cats inside there?
Yeah. So they were neglecting the kittens. And then we asked the dude at another really good renovated house that was a bookstore. We asked him about it.
What was the name of that store?
I can't remember. They had a lot of Wallace there. I bought a George Saunders book from there.
Yeah. I found...
Hold on, this is the kitty with the... We're reading the Communist Manifesto. Yeah.
I found John Williams' Augustus.
Yeah, that's right. And Butcher's Crossing.
You picked up Butcher's Crossing, though, didn't you? I think you picked up Butcher's Crossing.
Yeah, I said you couldn't do it because I found it first.
Yeah.
I was like, I have some really generous moments, but right now is not one of them.
So one of these days, when we've read all three of his major works, Stoner, Butcher's Crossing, and Augustus, we got to have a whole episode dedicated to Williams.
Yeah, let us know if that's what you want, because I will definitely put aside anything else to read all the rest, or the two other big Williams books. All right. You ready for mine?
Number 6.
To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf.
Fun fact.
One of my all-time favorite writers.
Fun fact. Mm-hmm. Steinberg has my copy of this right now.
Oh, does she really?
Yeah.
Is she going to read it?
She asked for it, so I'm assuming so.
Oh, Mare, please read this. Oh, my God. I remember texting a buddy. Yeah. I remember texting a buddy because I had gotten this for my birthday one year. And I was like, I'm going to tackle it right now. because it's all stream of consciousness, and it's considered, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
That's the point. And I texted him. I was so nervous because I was a few pages in, and I was like, I don't get it. So I texted him and go, how am I supposed to read Wolf? And he's like, what kind of question is that, dude? Just fucking read it. I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, I reread the first opening pages until I got down to what exactly was happening and how she was structuring this whole book. And it runs on three things: delay, repetition, and inaction. Everything in this book kind of usually just comes in threes. There's 3 acts and 3 major problems that each character kind of has. At least I think. There's a couple of wonderful moments in this book, and in the first part it ends with this beautiful scene where nothing happens. Nothing really happens in this book, and that's kind of the point. It's a lot of inaction. You get to know these characters only through inner monologues. Like, it's just them talking to themselves. And there's a lot of wishing things that were said. Like, there's this beautiful moment between Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey at the end of Act 1. And while I was reading it, they're saying all these grandiose things inside their head, especially Miss Ramsey. But none of them will just distinctly outright say, I love you. And I don't know, it's like what I alluded to earlier with the Miles Davis stuff. Miles Davis said, the best notes are the ones you don't play. And that's exactly what you're longing for. Because they can conjure up all these emotions, go from one person to the next person, and tell you everything. But they can't they say the simplest things. And this is also a man, Mr. Ramsey, who hardly expresses his love for his children until he goes to the lighthouse, which he's put off and off and off. Like the whole book. He just doesn't do it. His whole philosophy is about moving forward. He goes and he starts reading... he quotes Tennyson's, some Light Brigade poem by Tennyson.
Yeah, Light Brigade.
And I was reading a little bit up on this. It's soldiering on and going forward. But while he is also a man who doesn't focus on his philosophical work, his best work is behind him, and he's constantly stuck in a loop of inaction. So this is a man he's just a big freaking hypocrite.
Yeah.
He's always talking about the future, but he never focuses on what's happening right now. And the second part comes, and it is some of the most exquisite and gut-wrenching prose, and it's literally just time. It's all time passing. And you find out that Miss Ramsey has died, one of the other kids has died in World War I, and the house that they were frequenting at is just kind of collapsing in on itself. Yeah. So in this last-ditch attempt to reconnect with his 2 youngest sons, he finally takes them to the lighthouse. But what's the point? They're stuck at sea. None of them want to do it. But he's doing it because he wants to go back to the connection with his wife.
Yeah.
Knowing about Virginia Woolf, like this, I think this is like pretty much about her parents.
Okay.
And I think, I love Virginia Woolf. The opening to A Voyage Out is incredible. Like the first opening paragraph, I think, is fantastic. And Night and Day has a great opening paragraph, and she tells you everything you need to know about a character. And she could be doing the simplest of things, like looking at a canvas and wondering what to do with the paint, and you could learn everything about this one character with just her action of moving and grabbing the palette and coming back. Or 2 would-be lovers talking and walking around the woods. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who knew the inner workings of the mind. You got to read Virginia Woolf, man. It's so good.
Yeah, I've read To the Lighthouse. I read it years ago, so I don't really remember much of it. I need to give it another read. Mm-hmm. I have that, and I have Mrs. Dalloway, which I think are her two most famous works.
Yeah, and A Room of Our Own.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one too.
That one's. Yeah, I think Virginia Woolf needs to be taught in schools.
Oh yeah,
I do. I think there's a lot of things we need to change about some curriculum. Yeah, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah, we will go down that rabbit hole tonight. We've already.
Let me know if you want to, though. I will go down that rabbit hole, just not tonight.
Yeah, not tonight, for sure.
Here's some quotes. What is the meaning of life? That was all. A simple question. One that tended to close in on one with years. The great revelation had never come. The great revelation perhaps never did come. Instead, there were little daily miracles, illuminations, matches struck unexpectedly in the dark. Here was one. Another one. Beauty was not everything. Beauty had this penalty. It came too readily, came too completely. It stilled life, froze it.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man.
You can marinate on that one all day.
Oh, yeah, because you could just think about every single beautiful person that's ever stopped you in the street dead. Yeah. You know? Any wonderful connection you may have made with talking with somebody, and you realize, like, this moment, this got to end.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever met somebody, like, when you... I had this the other day. It's like I didn't want to leave this certain room because I knew once I left, it would be gone, man. Yeah. Like, what's the Bon Iver 33 God where it's like, when we leave this room, it's gone. It's like, I just want to let this go as long because I don't want that car ride. And there's another scene in my head that comes open, and it's like things I could have done. And you really, you're just extrapolating all this crap.
Yeah.
Manifesting these things.
Yeah, it's like, when you're on like an adrenaline high, like you feel so good, but you know inevitably it's going to end.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Ugh.
Like when you're listening to a great song, your adrenaline gets going, and then inevitably it'll be gone before you know it,
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite songs of all time is 33 God. I did a music video for that.
Really?
When I was in college, yeah. I got a lot of good feedback. I put it in a festival, and I got some good praise for it. I was pretty proud of that. That's probably one of my favorite things I've ever done. Anyway, last quote. Very short. The very stone one kicks with one's boot will outlast Shakespeare. Just think about it.
I'm thinking.
I mean, it's not... no metaphor there. It's just the inevitability that our species will have its end. The Earth will still be here unless we don't change a few things, but inevitably, the things that we take for granted and that we throw around and throw into the lake or spit gum on, throw trash on, the one planet that we have, the one home,
mm-hmm.
will outlast the greatest of men.
Oh, yeah.
Or the greatest of minds. And that's something I think people don't really think about, unfortunately. It's not the most grandest thing or statement to think, but it's something you take for granted.
Yeah.
You see people beat up on stuff all the time for no reason. Anyway. That was it. That halfway through.
Yeah. Well, halfway through our top 10, but a third of the way through our total list.
Yeah. Top 10.
Yeah, this has been a long episode.
I knew it would happen.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, we gotta split this up into two.
Boom.
And now what are we gonna go do?
We are going to go see a film.
And what is that? I want you to say it.
Oh,
with that sweet,
okay,
luscious
let's see if I can pronounce it here. I believe it is The Banshees of Inisherin.
And let's get a fact check.
Is that correct? Let's see. Banshees of Inisherin. Yep.
Pronunciation?
No, I'm not sure how
Hold on, ready? Hold on.
The Banshees of Inisherin.
Ah, Inisherin, like Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran.
Oh, okay.
The Banshees of Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, it's an Irish film.
Yep.
Well, at least it's the main characters are Irish. It's set in Ireland. I don't know. Is the director Irish?
I think it's the same guy who did In Bruges.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Oh,
but yeah, so
what a great movie.
it just hit St. Louis. I'm not sure when it debuted at the I believe Toronto and Venice film festivals. I'm sure it was in LA and New York before coming here, but I think it just premiered in St. Louis. I think tonight's probably the premiere. But it's getting great reviews, and I'm sure I can speak for you, but a lot of people who bash the awards and festivals, their whole shtick is that these are films that really nobody wants to see, only a niche group of people, but I find myself in that niche who appreciates good filmmaking.
God, yeah, man, you're an elitist, dude. Yeah.
What can I say? I'm a film snob.
That's fine. You can be snobby.
Yeah.
I like to have the perfect balance of highbrow, lowbrow. Where if I watch something that's in the artsy type setting, I learned this real quick with.
You always have the whole place to.
I learned this real quick with. In school, because we had to watch a couple really intense stuff, and then we had friends who wanted to. When we get together for debaucherous film or movie nights. I had a buddy one day. He was trying to push us to watch 120 Days of Sodom. I was like, "Oh, frick that noise!"
Yeah.
So we watched something else. I think we watched Naked by Mike Leigh, which is a devastating movie.
Yeah.
And I realized I could get stuck in that mode real quick, and I could stop losing interest in that. So I would pair it. Me and my buddy James would pair it with James Bond. Okay. So every little art movie we used to watch, we'd just watch something. We gotta clear the brain out a bit, cleansing the palate.
I mean, yes. I mean, stuff like James Bond, because it's well crafted.
Yeah.
I can do that. But when it comes to the summer blockbusters, Fast and Furious,
don't watch Fast and Furious.
I'm not gonna sit through that crap.
Yeah. There's no way Vin Diesel beats The Rock. I'm sorry.
But for me, it's I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. But it's
you don't believe in the power of family. God, that movie's so stupid, bro. Come on.
I mean, when it comes to comedies, I'll watch lowbrow ones, whatever. But I don't generally get attached to films. In a sense, they move me one way or another emotionally. And so I'm more observant of cinematography, how well it's written.
You've never been moved by a movie?
I mean, in the moment, sure, but I don't it doesn't change my life, day to day.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Maybe I can compartmentalize things, I don't know. But, I know a great film when I see it.
Yeah, man.
I moved in the moment, but once I leave the theater, I may rave about it, but it doesn't really affect my day-to-day life.
Oh. I don't know. I see where you're coming from. I see it, but
I guess because I go into it knowing it's a piece of art. Now, you could probably argue art is supposed to move you and affect how you see the world, and I would agree with that.
Well, here, let's wrap it up, and let me leave you with something here.
Okay.
That all art is really just supposed to make sense of reality. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that?
I'm still thinking about it. Say it one more time.
All art is supposed to make sense of reality.
I would agree to that, because even if the artist is challenging you on something, that's still gonna clarify your position one way or another. So I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. So, I'm always open with movies or film art, albums or whatever.
Even with
changing, how I view things. If I never watched Lahane, I think my view, I would be missing a whole other part of my whole being. Or The Fisher King by Terry Gilliam. Or even David Lynch, who's my favorite director. The whole art form, the whole medium of film would have a different context for me, because that he did stuff nobody ever has the balls to try, and those who do epically fail. There's only one David Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
he's all the way up in Montana somewhere.
Yeah.
You know he's playing John Ford in that new Spielberg movie that previewed? He plays John Ford. How great of a casting is that? Amazing.
Yeah. I always think of him as Gordon Cole.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks, baby.
I love to see where he starts kissing who's the waitress?
Oh, Peggy Lipton?
No, not
what's her name?
Machen Amick's character. It's like my favorite show of all time.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, he's like, "What are you doing kissing my girlfriend?" Sit and watch because it's about to happen again, or something like that. Like,
yeah.
God bless. Anyways,
yeah. I guess you know. All I'm saying is, films don't really. I can't say that they don't. I guess they don't really change how my day-to-day life, but I guess I won't really watch films that I know or movies that are just like Hollywood produced, just very generic, very standard storyline, very standard archetype.
Yeah, I think that's fine too.
You know, like I don't have any patience for that. I mean, if I'm on a date, sure, I'll suck it up, but like. You know, I'm not going to watch, The Holiday on my own,
That's a very specific movie.
Well, it's because someone brought it up the other day.
To pull out The Holiday, starring Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, Jude Law, and Kate Winslet.
Well, it's like, that's like that's the standard rom-com. You have...
Is it?
I don't know the storyline. I know it's a rom-com.
You're bashing a movie you know nothing about.
Well,
I've never seen it either. I know my mom likes it. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, every chick loves it.
Probably. I don't know. Anyway, so thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Be sure to write us. Leave us a note at onceUponAtome22@gmail.com. And
let Brett know how you really feel about The Holiday from 2006. Yeah. I'd be really interested.
If you absolutely love it, I will watch it. I will suck it up, and I will give you my honest feedback on it.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Just to be crystal clear, 22 is in its numerical form. It is not spelled out.
That would be the longest email.
onceUponAtome22@gmail.com.
onceUponAtome22@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bam, pow. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Boom. Oh, speaking of that, I always thought would have been a good headline when Tommy Pham was in St. Louis?
Oh, what? Wham, bam, thank you, fam?
If he had a walk-off home run. Because you know back in the day the Post would ask for like headline submissions.
Oh yeah.
Wham bam, thank you fam.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah. Nowadays he'll just punch somebody because they robbed him in his fantasy league.
All right.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Yep. It's been a pleasure.
Peace.